Welcome back. The NBA 2016 elections have been fixed for Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th of July. At the last National Executive Council NEC meeting held in Benin, the election committee headed by Mr. Ken Mosier SAN unveiled the guidelines and timetable for the 2016 NBA elections. The guidelines dwelt on issues of qualification to vote and to hold office, campaign regulations, and even the electronic voting process. On our interview today, we talked to Mr. Martin Ogunleye, the chairman of the Lagos branch of the NBA, about some of the issues members have raised on the guidelines. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you too. You're welcome.
Can I get your views on the electoral guidelines as released by the Electoral Committee at the recently concluded NEC meeting of the NBA?
You will appreciate that this is a new program in the NBA, electronic voting. So it will not be without its usual hiccups for programs just running. But from the demonstrations given at the NEC meeting, I think we are good to go. But I must say that there are quite a lot of anxiety amongst our members about how this process will run. Some of the anxiety is born out of the fact that you know that it's an internet-based platform, and it's an association that is all around the country. We have 115 branches now. There are some parts of this country, especially the northeastern parts, that has been ravaged by insurgency over the past few years, where you do not have full connectivity and things like that. There are some parts of the country also where the connectivity wavers. So there's this challenge about connectivity, and a lot of our members did raise concerns about connectivity. But we are made to understand that the platform, the website, the electronic website platform would be up and running, and that no matter the amount of members logging in at the same time, it will not crash. We have about over 100,000 lawyers in Nigeria. From the voters list that has been released, we will not have up to 100,000 voters, but we also have the possibility of all these voters, well above 50,000, coming onto the site at the same time. Demonstrations were made at NEC, and some people also tried to log in immediately and said that there was one or two things. But the point was made that the site was not ready for public logging in yet. It was just a demonstration site. Personally, I am quite hopeful. The consultants handling the site, they're well-known consultants who have worked with the NBA in the past. The only challenge I also have with that particular consultant is that the consultants were the ones who handled the logistics for the registration for the annual general conference last year. And everybody who attended that conference will attest to the fact that registration was hectic. It was quite hectic. So we are hoping that having gone through that experience last year, they will have learned one or two lessons and will be more prepared for this e-voting platform.
Apart from e-voting, what do you think of the other guidelines that the Electoral Committee released?
The election guidelines, and as a matter of fact, the innovations in the Constitution, which were adopted in Abuja in August last year, well, they are a step in the right direction. But personally, my feelings are that we probably have taken a little bit of the shine out of the whole electoral process. Because the electoral process is about also getting the voter informed, not just about the process, but about the candidates. And that's the only way they can make informed and right choices. Now, the new constitution we operate and the electoral guidelines that have been released have banned the circulation and production of campaign materials in the mold of flyers, in the mold of things. And I've restricted the campaign materials to probably a 4-page manifesto, which will be published on the NBA website and on the electronic platform website. Now, the challenge I have with that is that we are still in a country where several of our members, because of their location, because of their disposition, are still battling to get used to IT and IT-related products. So when you restrict campaign materials to just the website, what it means is that a lot and a very great large number of the voters will actually not be able to assess candidates and find out what those candidates stand for. We are trying to reduce the kind of money spent on elections of the NBA, but that does not mean that we should now totally outlaw the circulation of campaign materials. That itself is one very important aspect of the process which the voter has a right to know about. My experience as a leader in the NBA has been that not up to 10% of lawyers practicing in Nigeria are actually active in the affairs of the NBA. Not more than 10% actually follow the processes. So I can bet you that the majority of the voters outside now probably do not even know the candidates well enough to be able to assess. So when you don't know the candidates well enough, you now start making your choices by, okay, probably what some other person told you, thought had information, or just by looking at the name and say, okay, I like this name, I don't like that name. An election should be about informed choices. So I think going forward, we should look at that aspect of it. But I must say that from my interaction with our colleagues from all over the country, the biggest worry of voters, of members of the association about this election is the question of how foolproof is the process itself. How would the ordinary voter be assured that the process is not hijacked somewhere, that their votes really count, and that the site is 100% hack-proof? So our members want to be assured that, look, once I cast my vote, I can actually, from the platform, also see that my vote has counted. And a lot of the candidates who I've interacted with as well have also shown the concern that, look, we want to see how the voting goes on so that you can log on to the site and be able to say, okay, so number of votes have been cast as at this hour, and this candidate has so number of votes. At least if that aspect of the platform is not open to the general, it should be open to at least the candidates or their nominees.
What was the reply that members got when these issues were raised? What did the NBA president say?
Well, the president did tell us that he will not be too comfortable with a situation where each candidate, as the things are going on, are taking notes or are being aware of how many votes so far has been. Because voting is going to take place for the whole of 2 days. Saturday the 23rd and Sunday the 24th of July. So the concern on the part of the president and the electoral committee is that, look, if voting is going on and on a Saturday, candidate A knows that, okay, 1,000 votes have been cast and my opponent already has the majority in that votes, it could also bring about some kind of horse trading and rigging whereby he could approach, or some members or a block somewhere could now approach him that, look, you can see how it's going. If you give us X amount, we can swing the vote to your. And all these kinds of things we are trying to eliminate in the voting process of the NBA.